This is Hoosier Ag Today. I'm Andy Eubank reporting on Indiana agriculture on the morning edition for the 8th of October. It is a Thursday morning. Hello. Thanks for joining us. We do appreciate it. Coming up, we have the latest Indiana farm news, a look back at mixed markets yesterday, and a look ahead with Ryan Martin's Indiana Farm Forecast. Japanese trade team visits Indiana to see the Indiana corn crop quality. Kayla McClellan reports. And Gary Truitt checks in with the Hoosier that was named Pig Farmer of the Year. Those stories coming up on our morning edition of Hoosier Ag Today.
Indiana Farm Bureau needs you. It's critical for your farm and family that your voice be heard daily. Farm Bureau membership tells legislators that Indiana agriculture stands together on property tax issues, farmland annexation, and water rules. Protect your livelihood and children's future by going online to infb.org/join or call 1-800-FARM-BUREAU. infb.org/join or call 1-800-FARM-BUREAU. Your membership brings value and benefits, but more importantly, it adds your voice to that of your neighbors and friends. Don't stand on the sidelines. Be heard on local, state, and national issues. We'll show you how. Indiana Farm Bureau needs you. Go to infb.org/join or call 1-800-FARM-BUREAU.
This is Hoosier Ag Today and the latest news in Indiana agriculture. I'm Andy Eubank. This news is brought to you by DuPont Pioneer, sponsors of our agronomy reports each week on this station. And check out the agronomy page for harvest updates at HoosierAgToday.com. A U.S. Grains Council trade team representing Japan is in Indiana this week, and they met with the Lieutenant Governor yesterday. Kayla McClellan was there.
Lieutenant Governor Sue Ellspermann hosted the Japanese trade team at the State House on Wednesday, where she says they were able to roll up their sleeves and talk about Hoosier corn. From biotechnology to on-farm management, Ellspermann says this visit is a learning experience.
Technology is not used at nearly the levels we have here, so we even talked about the kinds of technology all the way from our best practices with cover crops and no-till and ensuring soil health, up to UAVs and sensors and making sure that we're integrating the best technology to ensure a great crop every year.
Ellspermann says the team was interested in how Indiana farmers were dealing with the heavy rains of this growing season.
It's nice to talk about the strength of the Indiana farmer and the best practices that they use, and that if you're a partner of Indiana and the United States, our world partners can be assured that we're providing them a safe, high-quality crop.
They were also able to touch on U.S. biotechnology and its importance to a safe and abundant crop.
I think that is understood. I think our Japanese partners have great appreciation for what we provide in the United States, and we're happy to reinforce that.
The State House is just the beginning of the Japanese trade team's visit. They'll get a look at the big picture in their visit to Indiana.
They will be visiting grain elevators and farms, and they'll be at Dow AgriSciences. So they are really, the ports, they are really getting to see how not only that crop is grown in the fields, but all the way through the export of it to their country.
I'm Kayla McClellan.
The National Pork Board has announced its first ever America's Pig Farmer of the Year award, and it is a Hoosier producer. Gary Truitt has the story.
Keith Schottmer from Tipton is a well-known name in Indiana pork circles, having served in several leadership positions with Indiana Pork. But now the rest of the world will know him better, since he has been named the first American Pig Farmer of the Year.
We're absolutely honored to receive this award.
Schottmer began prime pork in 1987, and he describes his operation as rather typical.
We're about 1,050 sows. We're completely farrow to finish, to where we do the whole life cycle as well as the feed mill, and we're predominantly on one site. We started in 1987 as first generation with about 450 sows, and just continued to build over the years and build up the herd to where it is today.
He said he was honored and humbled by the award and hopes to use this opportunity as a way of educating the public about pork.
We really look forward to the opportunity to just visit with people about pig farming in America and the care that pig farmers in America take care of their stock now, and we're humbled by it. There's just literally thousands of farms that are doing it right, and for us to be able to speak for them, we're absolutely humbled by that as well.
He said he wants to keep his message very simple.
We care about raising these animals. We care about the environment. We care about food safety. We care about the welfare of the animals. And this is what we do for a living, and this is our passion.
Congratulations to Keith Schottmer, America's Pig Farmer of the Year. I'm Gary Truitt.
And I'm Andy Eubank. This is Hoosier Ag Today, Indiana's Farm Network.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin with a look at Hoosier Ag Today's Indiana Farm Forecast from the Wells Fargo Forecast Center. Taking a look at the latest setup on the surface analysis. Hey, we've got a cool front that's pushing close to the region. Do I think it matters? No. No, I don't. Not in the least bit. As we've been kind of stating in other areas, I've had decreasing levels of infatuation with this front basically since early this week and even back into last week. The key for me was the fact that the good, strong, potentially cut-off low that was supposed to wreak all sorts of havoc down in the desert southwest and then eject out, it's stalled. Literally hasn't moved for the past 2 or 3 days. We've had a weaker low pick up a little bit of moisture, triggered some scattered showers and thunderstorms yesterday from south central Kansas back into the Texas Panhandle, but whoop-de-doo. That low was the one that's going to hook up with the frontal boundary today, trying to shoot northeastward. I think by the time it gets to our neck of the woods here, there's nothing left. As a matter of fact, we've gradually stair-stepped our precipitation totals down through the week so far. I'm going to take another step this morning, and I'll tell you, I'm not impressed. A few hundredths to a tenth or two is what I'm looking at. I don't even think we have decent coverage across the Hoosier State. I'm willing to say that it's under 50% coverage now. So if you're wanting to roll on with harvest and you don't need a rain, then I guess you like this forecast. Now, if you're in the camp where you really would like to have a little bit of rain, that's probably not the best scenario. So that's the way things are stacking up. It's going to be a quick deal, probably moving through most of our state during the overnight tonight and through the midday hours tomorrow. I'd say by tomorrow afternoon, this thing should be done, and we're going to be on our way to a very nice weekend. Speaking of that, temperatures cool down behind this little system for probably 12 to 24 hours. Up in North Dakota, we saw a very cool batch of temperatures coming in for today. By tomorrow, they add about 10 to 12 degrees to it, and by Saturday up in that part of the world, they're going to be jumping temperatures to near 80. So that tells me this is not a big air mass change. This is a little sweep-through deal. Boom, here it's there, it's gone, and we're on our way. I'm looking for our weekend to see temperatures bouncing back to normal and slightly above normal levels. As a matter of fact, I'm going to keep that thought process all the way through the week. Next week, I think we're seeing temperatures normal to above normal, definitely extending this growing season as we go on through. Now, our next fronts may try and work through toward the end of next week. 17th, 18th has been kind of on the scope for a while. Up to this point, it's been mostly the GFS model jumping on it. Now the European is on board, looking at a good front to come through. I guess I'll say 2/10 to 5/10 is what I'm looking at. The European tries to do a little bit more. We'll see whether they hold on to the strength. But the timing is what's going to be real interesting. Right now, it looks like maybe a Friday-Saturday event, although the GFS is Saturday-Sunday. So we'll have to watch that. Otherwise, that's the only significant rainfall event in the period here. I will say that once you get toward the 22nd, 23rd, models are hinting at a fairly decent cool air outbreak. And if you want to play the what-if game just a little bit, now keep in mind, this is just what if. This is not my forecast. But if this is a significant cool down, and if it were to bring on a frost, does it mean anything? Well, let's put it this way. At October 22nd, 23rd, that's about a week behind normal for central Indiana first frost dates. So I don't think it's a big deal. And like I said, I'm not even saying we're going there. It's just our next push of potentially below normal temperatures. That's the way things are stacking up. Have a great rest of your day. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin on Hoosier Ag Today, Indiana's Farm Network.
Monitor your grain anytime, any place with GrainTrack from Co-Alliance. GrainTrack uses the latest technology for remote temperature readings every 30 minutes. Let GrainTrack remove the guesswork from grain storage so you don't need to drive, climb, or keep handwritten notes to track information. Save money on electricity and shrink by not over-drying. A typical installed system is only a few cents per bushel. For more information, check out GrainTrack at coalliance.com. GrainTrack bin monitoring only from CoAlliance.
This is Hoosier Ag Today. I'm Andy Eubank with the Wednesday Farm Market Review. And it was a mixed day of trade in Chicago. The update is brought to you by Seed Consultants, simply the best value in the seed industry. 800-708-2676, seedconsultants.com. Corn down, wheat down, and also soybeans worked both sides of unchanged. We checked in for analysis middle of the session Wednesday with Tom Fritz at EFG Group.
Well, Andy, there has been a fair amount of offers against that $4 area. In fact, $4 all the way up to $4.03. Some folks are trying to tell me there was a little bit of an increase in cash movement as we knocked at the door of that level, but you look at spreads, corn spreads, your Dece March, okay, it's losing a whole snappy quarter cent today. So personally, I think this is, corn's been up 5 days in a row, so why not a little bit of a correction? We've got a important report on Friday, so, are we just going to rally right into that report? No, I think, there's a little bit of a safeguard out there. So a little bit of a correction, I think, is healthy for the market in the longer term. The wheat market, is prompting a good portion of that correction. And, wheat's been on a, near 50-cent rally, and people are scratching their heads. We understand short covering. We understand, dryness for the new crop winter wheat, not only in this country, but in other major producing areas. But what are you going to do? You're going to trade that every day for the next 4 months, 5 months? So, no, I think it's healthy that the market goes into a little bit of a correction mode. And you look at soybeans. What has soybeans done here since middle of August? They've done a whole bunch of nothing. You're in a trading affair, call it $8.55 to $9. When was the last time you saw the bean market trade that tight a range for that length of time? But people who trade soybeans say, hey, we're still way behind on export sales. How big is the crop out there? There's a lot of folks thinking that USDA may raise yield but lower harvested acres. Couple that with an increase in crush, maybe a decrease in export projections, and the end result is a carryout still above 400 million bushels. So we're kind of stuck here right now as far as the bean market's concerned. But feed grains, I think wheat is short covering, takes corn along for the ride. And I think everybody will admit, especially your listeners, has anybody sold any cash grain off the combine? I don't think so.
Jumping ahead to the Thursday trade and also Friday morning ahead of the USDA report. No reason, of course, to expect that we'll bust out of a trading range, especially in front of that important report.
I don't think we will, Andy. Sure, Thursday morning we get weekly export sales. A lot of times, that'll have some short-term influence on the market, but beans are relegated to this trading range affair until we see what the USDA has to say. And that holds true for corn as well.
And my thanks to Tom Fritz, EFG Group in Chicago. Now, the final numbers, and the soybean market did finish on the plus side, but corn went down 2.5 cents, $3.95 3/4 for December. Off 2 1/4 on the March corn, $4.06 1/4. 3 points higher, November and January soybeans. Novi $8.91, Jan beans $8.95. Chicago wheat also down 9.5 cents lower for December, finishing at $5.16 3/4. And those are the Wednesday markets. And thanks for joining us for the Thursday morning edition of Hoosier Ag Today. We've got the midday podcast later on today after 11 o'clock Central, 12 noon Eastern Time. An update on the grain markets. Mike Silver's scheduled to join me with expert analysis of what's happening today and a report on how those export sales came out. All of that on our midday podcast later today, right here, Hoosier Ag Today, Indiana's Farm Network.